The Ottawa Senators just cleared a massive hole in their top six and a ton of cap space by trading away their captain, Brady Tkachuk. They now have 3 first-round picks, burning a hole in their pocket. Could Jake DeBrusk be the guy that they target to fill that void, especially on the power play at that net front position? More importantly, can the Canucks leverage to land the 25th overall pick? Today we're breaking down why this trade makes perfect sense for both sides, the specific draft capital that Vancouver is eyeing, and the one no-move hurdle that could stop this whole thing dead in its tracks. Let's get into it right now. So we're going to take a look at an article from our friends over at Canucks Army. This one specifically written by our good buddy David Quadrelli. And of course, for those of you that did not see the blockbuster trade that happened on Sunday, the Senators traded away their captain, Brady Tkachuk, to the Florida Panthers for a haul of 3 first-round picks, 2 of which are in this Friday's draft, and a second-round selection. Now, after missing the postseason for 7 straight seasons, the Senators have now reached the playoffs in back-to-back seasons and clearly have no intention of taking a step back despite their return in the Tkachuk deal appearing mostly futures-based, which I know a lot of Senator fans were not happy about at all. Most agree that Ottawa will not use all 3 of their first-round selections in Friday's draft, meaning that Ottawa might instead look to move at least one of them for a piece or 2 that could help them in the here and the now. Enter Jake DeBrusk. Now, could he be one of those pieces? Of course, as we know, DeBrusk's name has been in trade rumors for a while now, including rumors when it comes to Ottawa earlier this month. Supposedly the Senators showed some interest, were poking around. Now, of course, we know DeBrusk made those comments that indicated he wasn't exactly thrilled to be a part of a rebuilding team. He did kind of walk those comments back, a little bit, but we also know DeBrusk has a full no-move clause until next summer, so to some degree, he does control his own situation. It's also worth noting that there have been no reports of DeBrusk explicitly asking for a trade out of Vancouver, so he could very realistically say no to any move. But assuming that he's at least open to it, which we have heard in the last few days that he's open to, anywhere, and apparently he would like to stay in Canada. So he could absolutely be a fit for the Ottawa Senators. Now, speaking of the Senators, how does he fit with the Senators? Well, despite a tough season and a career low for even strength goals, DeBrusk still managed to finish the season with 23 goals. In his first season in Vancouver back in 24-25, DeBrusk finished with a career-high 28 goals, 14 of which came at even strength. It's also worth noting that DeBrusk has been a consistent even strength goal scorer in practically every season of his career, with the exception, of course, being this past year. There should be minimal concerns that he won't be able to bounce back to being a double-digit even strength contributor next season. Now, taking a quick look at the Senators' updated line combinations, courtesy of Daily Faceoff, post-Tkachuk trade. And it shows that there's absolutely room for DeBrusk on the left side of Ottawa's top 6 forward group, which is Zetterlund, Stützle, and Batherson, Grieg, Cousins, and Arthur Kaliev. You could easily slot him in on that first line or even that second line for that matter. I would be very interested to see how he works with, Timmy Stu and see if there's any chemistry there. Obviously won't be nothing like Brady and Stützle. But there's even more appeal for the Senators in acquiring DeBrusk, and that's where he's most efficient on the power play. Now, by trading away Brady Tkachuk, the Senators lost their net front presence on their first power play unit and in-close finisher. Now, here's Tkachuk's goal location data, courtesy of NHL Edge, as you can see right here. That, of course, is a role that Jake DeBrusk absolutely excels in, as he potted a career-high 19 power play goals last season. Just for comparison between Tkachuk and Jake DeBrusk, here's his goal location data chart from last season, as you can see right here. Now, by adding DeBrusk, the Senators get a top 6 winger that can help them both at even strength and on the power play, and because of the boatload of assets that they got in the Tkachuk deal, they'd realistically be able to go out and get even more help on top of adding Jake DeBrusk. Now, of course, speaking of Jake DeBrusk, his cap hit is $5.5 million, which is not too bad, and it is until 2030, 2031. and is absolutely workable for Ottawa as well. Which brings us to the main point of this video. Could the Canucks and the Senators really make a trade for Jake DeBrusk? Now, in the Tkachuk trade, we know the Senators netted the 9th overall pick, which used to be Florida's, and the 25th overall pick, which originally was the Seattle Kraken's pick that Florida acquired when they traded Mackie Samoskevich to the Kraken for that 25th overall pick in order to get this Tkachuk deal, across the finish line. That means in total, Ottawa holds the 9th, 25th, and 32nd overall picks for the first round of this Friday's draft. We know they cannot trade the 32nd overall pick, so that is a no-go. So it's technically the 9th and 25th overall pick that they can easily trade. Now, speaking of that, let's just get right out in front of it. Say that the Canucks won't be getting the 9th overall pick in exchange for Jake DeBrusk 1-for-1. But if they included, like, say, Filip Hronek, or I'll throw another name out there, Elias Pettersson. I mean, Quads doesn't want us to get off track, and trust me, we're not going to get off track. We're going to focus on DeBrusk, but that is a possibility. That is one way that I think the Canucks could maybe get the 9th overall pick, is if they did like a DeBrusk Pettersson package or a Hronek DeBrusk package, but we're going to focus on DeBrusk in this one. Realistically, DeBrusk value is likely similar to what the Canucks were able to get for Connor Garland when they dealt him to the Columbus Blue Jackets, a 2nd and a 3rd round pick. But with a weak crop of free agents and limited names available on the trade market, could the Canucks net the 25th overall pick? The Senators, as I mentioned already, can't move the 32nd overall pick. Of course, if you guys watched the Sekeres and Price show yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, Cam Robinson was on, and he actually mentioned that he thinks Jake DeBrusk, his value is actually, a mid to late first round pick, that he thinks the Canucks could fetch a mid to late first round pick. We also heard from David Pagnotta, kind of said something similar. So there's that to consider as well. Fans have already wondered about the possibility of the Canucks, who already own the 24th overall pick, acquiring the 25th overall pick so they can draft back-to-back in order to draft twin brothers Liam and Marcus Ruck. Of course, we've talked about the Ruck Twins on this channel in previous videos, though not everyone agrees that the Canucks wouldn't be leaving talent on the board by doing so. Now, I did put out a tweet on my official Twitter, Line Change Fan, if you guys want to check it out, that talks about, this specific trade and, trying to get the 25th overall pick in a package with DeBrusk. I did mention Liam Ruck as one of the 2 picks, if the Canucks were to get the 25th overall pick. I also mentioned Mathis Preston, maybe a Mathis Preston and Liam Ruck, and then maybe they could get Marcus with the 33rd overall pick. But we're not focusing on that. We're, again, focusing on the Jake DeBrusk part of this whole thing. Now, regardless of lack of options realistically out there for the Senators, should mean that the Canucks are indeed able to net that 25th overall pick in a trade. Now, here are the projected left wingers available on July 1st, courtesy of Puckpedia. You have Alex Ovechkin, Victor Arvidsson, Mason Marchment, Anders Lee, Eric Holla, Jamie Benn, Michael Bunting, AJ Greer, and James Van Riemsdyk. So, yeah, not a whole lot of... And I guess this far column here is their age. So you got Ovi at 40, Victor Arvidsson at 33, Marchment at 31, Anders Lee at 35, Eric Holla at 35, Jamie Benn at 36, Michael Bunting at 30, AJ Greer at 29, the youngest of the bunch, and then James Van Riemsdyk at 37. Now, how many of these players are realistic upgrades on DeBrusk? And how many will come in at under $5.5 million annually? Not to mention the fact that free agency means there's no guarantee the Senators will be able to convince any of these players to actually sign long-term in Ottawa. The trade market isn't much better either. There are some decent players like Jordan Kyrou, Matthew Knies, who appear like they could be had for the right price, but there are few players that seem as outwardly available as DeBrusk is right now. Not to mention that the price of a Kyrou or Knies would certainly be a lot higher than it would be for Jake DeBrusk. The likelihood of the Canucks not liking the value here is low, but if the Senators think that pick number 25 is a bit steep, which they very well could, there's always the option of the Canucks sweetening the pot by throwing in a later round pick or another asset that Ottawa might fancy. The point is, the framework for a deal is absolutely there, and it's hard to imagine that pick 25 wouldn't be the main focal point. No, if the Canucks have to add a little sweetener, one name that comes to mind, Niels Höglander. I know his value is in the dirt right now, but he's just one that popped into my head. You could also go maybe with the 4th round pick, or even the Canucks have 2 second-round picks. You could throw in the 41st overall pick to try and, maybe sweeten the deal there. Let me know what you guys would want to sweeten the pot with if you wanted this trade to go through. Let me know in the comments. What would you use to sweeten the pot to try and entice Ottawa to actually get this deal across the finish line? Let me know. If it's not, Ottawa doesn't have a second-round pick in this year's draft, meaning a repeat of the Garland trade, a second and a third-round pick would likely see Ottawa deal their 2027 second and one of 3 third-round picks Ottawa holds in this draft, but really the Canucks should be shooting for pick 25 here. Now, in conclusion, from an on-ice perspective, the fit is there for the Senators to want to target DeBrusk. They've got the assets to make a deal happen, and the Canucks would be wise to explore whether or not DeBrusk would be willing to waive to go to the nation's capital, getting to make back-to-back first-round selections on Friday in the process. That almost seems too perfect for the first big trade of the new management group, headed up by co-presidents Daniel and Henrik Sedin. So there's that article. I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give me your mock trades in the comments. What would you do if you were the Canucks? What would you be willing to give up on top of Jake DeBrusk to try and get this deal across the finish line? If you're an Ottawa Senators fan and like this deal or don't like this deal, throw in your mock trades as well in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think. I really like the idea of this. And I do think there's a good chance that this could happen, maybe on draft day. Who knows? But I do think there is value here, and it's a win. And in my opinion, it's a win-win for both sides. So, again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, on your way out, you can like the video and subscribe to The Line Change for more Canucks and draft-related content. Reminder, we do have our draft watch party coming up on Friday at 3:45 p.m. Pacific time. We're going to be sitting down, watching the draft unfold together. So go ahead, come by, hang out with us. That'll be on Friday in 3 days. So, and also a reminder, if you want to be a member of The Line Change, hit that join button. You get exclusive perks, members-only videos, behind-the-scenes stuff, and early access to videos such as like the one you're watching right now. And now, an important message from our friends over at DraftKings. It all comes down to this: a best-of-7 battle, and DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, bet text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
Thank you guys for watching. Once again, let me know your mock trades in the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.